It's America Continues on USA Radio Networks. I'm Jim Sharp. Coming up, the latest on the Garland, Texas shooting and the suggestion that the group that put on the event had it coming. Here's Garland, Texas police spokesperson Joe Harn.
Both of them had assault rifles, came around the back of the car and started shooting at the police car. The police officer in that car began returning fire and struck both men, taking them down. Both of those men died there on the street next to their car.
That is, like I said, Joe Harn, who said the suspects were there, quote, to shoot people. These two men who were killed outside of this controversial art show were trying to shoot the approximately 200 people attending the event before a traffic officer intervened. By the way, thank goodness nobody listened to Michael Moore last week and went with the idea that we should disarm the police. The American Freedom Defense Initiative hosting that Muhammad art exhibit inside the Curtis Culwell Center on Sunday, not too far from where I used to live when I lived in the Dallas area. Featured a contest for cartoon depiction of the Prophet Muhammad, and was the whole thing was almost over when the incident occurred. By the way, organizers of the event paid $10,000 themselves to have extra officers on hand, and when that shooting happened, a police officer came in wearing tactical gear and announced to the crowd that what had happened.
Possibly have explosives on them, okay? That's what we're worried about right now. We are going to move y'all into the auditorium here in just a minute. I just need everybody to remain calm, be kind of orderly, and we're going to take you into the auditorium a little further away from the front of this building, all right?
Were the suspects Muslim?
I have no idea right now.
What do you need?
I don't know anything else other than that. I just want y'all to be aware that we are going to move y'all soon to get you away from the front of this building.
Who should we listen to right now?
Just stand by and we will move y'all, okay?
I'm not sure what people are cheering about there. And I don't, when your life might possibly be in danger, would you really stop to ask the question, were the suspects Muslim? And how exactly do you check that? If it was an ongoing incident, like you didn't, maybe this officer did or didn't know that the two guys had been shot dead at that point, and he said there might be explosives. So obviously, and they did end up blowing up the suspect's car because they did, out of precaution. What possibly would enter your mind to make you ask that question? Why?
Excuse me, before you shoot me, are you Muslim?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, I don't think anybody was thinking when they said that. That's the thing. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm moving in that direction. That's where I'm going. I'll ask questions later. This is a guy who was a witness there, Joseph Patrick Andrews, using a camera and a remote-controlled helicopter to take pictures of art. When the cops arrived to start cordoning off the area surrounding that shooting in Garland, Texas, there were two gunmen opened fire. Security officer was shot in the ankle and thankfully was released from the hospital, so it couldn't have been too serious of an injury. That's really great. And then, of course, these two guys gunned down by this one police officer. This is Joseph Andrews, who was a witness to what happened there in Garland.
And I look up and I see a cop with an M16, and adrenaline starts going, and they're shooing everybody out of Academy.
It's very close, by the way, to a super target. There's a lot of stuff in that area there, where this center is, where they held this cartoon contest to see who could draw Muhammad the best, or be the most offensive, I guess. In just a second, whether or not it's okay to suggest that Pamela Geller, and we're going to play some sound for you in just a second here, Pamela Geller, the organizer of this event, and the woman behind this organization that is being talked about quite a bit, this, which we'll get into what their background is, but this suggestion that hey, these guys had it coming, be careful. Free speech, but be careful what you say, Pamela.
There is a war on free speech. We entered a new era last night because this wasn't Paris, this wasn't Copenhagen, this was Texas. And there were 300 freedom lovers in that audience.
She was speaking to Fox News, by the way. And she says it's a war. Now, we mentioned that she said that this is a war earlier. Okay? I think she was completely taken out of context because hear how she says it here.
There is a war on free speech. We entered a new era last night because this wasn't Paris, this wasn't Copenhagen, this was Texas. And there were 300 freedom lovers in that audience. There is a...
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Darn it, I closed that story that I was reading from earlier, that opinion piece on CNN, which suggested that, hey, real leaders aren't the ones who say that, there's a war. They talk about, here it is, one more time. Haroon Magool, who is he's a fellow at the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, says that, she went on Fox News and called it a war. After the attack, she doesn't call for dialogue, for understanding, for bringing people together, which is what real leaders do. Instead, she went on Fox News and called it a war. Well, in this context, it is a war.
There is a war on free speech.
When people show up and say, you can't do that, you can't do something that's not stealing from people or defrauding people or taking away their liberties or their stuff or their life or their kids, and you decide you're going to end their lives, that's a war on free speech. I'm sorry, that is a war on free speech. And when people are shooting at me, I probably don't have a lot of motivation to call for dialogue, for understanding, for bringing people together. I probably would say, hey, there's a war on free speech too. Once again, Pamela Geller.
Are we to believe that if something offends you, if something insults you, that we should go out and kill people, and that way we can get our way? Because that's really the implication here. I'm not responsible for the violence conducted by others. It's outrageous.
Yeah. And that is the implication, that Pamela Geller and the folks who joined her at this event had it coming, this American Freedom Defense Initiative event. They had it coming. How scary is that? All right, we'll dig into that in just a moment. And more Clinton cash news. Yeah, boy. Bill Clinton defending the foundation and the foreign money and all that. This is gonna be good. I'm Jim Sharp. You're listening to America Continues on USA Radio Networks.